Hello everyone, I'm Nagaraj. In this video, I'll try to explain what predictive analytics is. So let's get started. What exactly is predictive analytics? Predictive analytics is actually an area of statistics that deals with the extraction of information from the historical data. And we use that historical data to actually determine the pattern in the data so that we can use the pattern to determine something in the future. So in simple terms, predictive analytics refers to all those methods that we can use to predict something in the future with the help of historical data. So in predictive analytics, there are various steps involved. The first step is of course the project definition. Project definition refers to the task that we are trying to solve. For example, it may be the prediction of profit for some company XYZ. So the next step is collecting the data required for us from various sources. So here we collect the previous year's transactions of that particular company. So this data we have collected may not be in the right form always. It may have some redundancies, repetitions, or it may be irrelevant. So the next step is the important one, that is data analysis. So this process involves data cleaning, data extraction, visualization, etc. After these three steps, we have our data in the required form. This data consists of features that influence the outcome. For example, the outcome may be the profit for the company, and the features may be the location of the company, its investments, the demand for the company's product in the market, etc. The next step is the most important one, where we do predictive modeling. Here we use statistical approaches to try to fit the data, whatever data we have, to the appropriate model. So in this case, we use various machine learning models, and these models can predict the profit for us. So after the first 4 steps, our model is actually ready. The next step is to deploy the model. We deploy the model so that our model can predict with the help of real-time data, or with the help of new features that it has never seen before. The final step is to monitor our model deployed. So we do this monitoring just to check that our model is predicting the right outcome. If it is not doing that, we have to make necessary changes with respect to the unique data that our model encounters so that it makes the right predictions. While doing some research on predictive analytics, I came across something called Geo-spatial predictive modeling, which I found really interesting, so I'll try to explain a bit about that. Geospatial predictive modeling is a process in which we use the geographic information of a particular area in order to predict the occurrence of a particular event in that area. This geographic information may include number of factors like infrastructure, socioculture, topography, etc. And all these spatial environment factors influence the occurrence of that particular event. For example, it can be predicting a particular crime like purse snatching that is happening in region X. So there are two types of geospatial predictive models. One is deductive and the other one is inductive. Deductive method actually relies on qualitative data or a subject matter expert, a human. So they describe the relationship between the occurrence of events and the environment factors. For example, one might say in a particular location, a particular set of events may typically found in between 100 and 700 meters from airports or at elevations between 1 and 1.5 kilometers. So all these data depend on logically calculated distances provided by a human. So we can say the efficiency is less. Whereas the inductive method relies heavily on the actual measured spatial relationship between the events that has occurred and the environment factors. For example, the occurrence of a particular event X in a particular location can be plotted in geographical space with the help of inductive modeling. We can do this by making use of the relationship between the occurrence of historical events and the various factors. In this method, we can actually make use of different statistical approaches to determine the pattern in the historical occurrence of events so that we can make use of that pattern and predict the future occurrence of a particular event in a particular region. This plot shows the occurrence of a particular event like purse snatching in Washington, D.C. These black dots represents those regions where the event has happened previously, that is in June and July of 2008, and these green triangles represents the location where the same event has happened in a different time scale, that is in August and September, and these are the events that are predicted by the model. I've selected this paper on spatial forecast methods for terrorist events in urban environments. This paper aims to use the geospatial predictive analytics to make use of the suicide bombing patterns in the past incident locations and try to use that pattern to actually develop a model which can predict the future suicide bombings. So our problem statement or the project definition is pretty simple. So it is trying to predict the future suicide bombing events. So I'll try to explain some of the important points from this paper. In this paper, they are dealing with the data in spatial domain, and most of the current approaches make use of only the location of event as one feature. So here in this paper, they have used a method for extracting various environmental factors by using the geographic information systems, which provide more useful features for better analysis. Spatial knowledge mining merges the techniques of data mining and geographic information system so that we can make use of the number of environmental features to form a high dimensional analysis. So the next thing is the data sources, and they have collected data from various sources like Institute of Counterterrorism, etc. And here, as you can see, this data includes 517 attacks or 517 samples. It also includes the date, location, type of attack, the organization behind the attack, and everything about it. So they make use of tools like ArcGIS to transfer the data to GIS so that they can work or they can extract the necessary information from the data. Coming to data extraction, they have extracted over 100 features from the spatial environment, and these features include street network, embassy locations like government buildings, bus stops, etc., and also critical borders. So for all the data, that is the previous events they have in their training set, they've calculated the Euclidean distance from the location of the event to the nearest feature using the geographic information systems. So all these are nothing but features to train our model. Sometimes in a very high dimensional analysis, it is necessary to reduce the dimensionality so that we can reduce the computation power and also we can avoid redundant data elements. So here they've used correlation structure and principal component analysis for feature reduction. So correlation structure is basically to determine the correlation between multiple features, so that if two features or a pair of features has the same correlation effect on the outcome, they can eliminate one of the features. Whatever the concepts I've explained till now, including collecting the data, data pre-processing, data extraction, are a part of predictive analytics. The next step is the important one where we select the appropriate model for our use case. In this paper, they have used the spatial density estimation or the spatial preference model and also the logistic regression model to predict the future suicide bombing events. With the help of logistic regression, they have also mapped the occurrence of events in geographic scale. Here, this region shows the occurrence of the event, that is suicide bombing, is high compared to this region. And they've also used different evaluation methods, as you can see here, to assess their model. I'm not explaining in detail about all these concepts. If you are interested to know more about this paper, you can just Google the title, that is Spatial Forecast Methods for Terrorist Events in Urban Environments, and you can easily get the PDF. So that's it about this paper, also predictive analytics and geospatial predictive analytics. I hope you guys have understood whatever I've explained. Thank you so much.